thank you guys so much for 35 subscribers. And because of that, I'm going to show you my entire collection of Lego trains. This is my entire collection of Lego trains that I have built. This total is 18 Lego trains, almost around 2 million bricks in total. These trains were quite an enjoyable time to build with these two new additions to the railway. Orange passenger and the V-line carriage, which has only has 2 buys, which means we bought 2 packages of Lego. And this locomotive is almost complete. Well, it's not a locomotive, but it's a carriage. H66 also got upgraded as well. It's now lower by 1 hull skinny, and the nose looks a lot more rounder. And it's correct height, the exact same height as the orange passenger. N-Class and A2986 are probably one of the only ones left to lower down by at least 1 skinny. I think the red passenger is also due for 1 as well. But I thought it would be cool if I were to show you guys my entire train collection of Lego. This is over about 3 years of building Lego trains. Started at 2017 to 2021. 3 years. With the oldest train being in my collection, the S-Class locomotive was the very first locomotive ever built in my entire collection, since this was the train that started it all, the S-Class. The reason why I built S-Classes and why I do Lego in the first place is because I have a huge passion for Lego trains. Not Lego trains, but for trains. I love trains so much that I really wanted to get toys or models of these things, but unfortunately they were too expensive at the time. Since I had a ton of Lego bricks, why don't I think of building my own Lego trains? Obviously it didn't work out perfectly the first time. The S-Class locomotive was completely different to what it looks like now. This one has only just been recently upgraded. So yeah, that one's changed hugely. And Puffin Billy as well, that locomotive has definitely changed a lot as well. I also added some gold piping the last time he was on the camera. I thought it looked a little bit cool, so I added some gold piping. But I don't think anything else has changed with Puffin Billy. The R-Class locomotive is basically the same, but that one's also been upgraded hugely since the time it was built. 2018 was the year that train was born. Heavy Harry was born in 2020. The N-Class locomotive was probably born around 2019 to 2018. A2986 was born in 2018. This one was born in 2019, 2018, 2020. This one was born in 2021. That one was born in 2020. The T-Class locomotive was also born around 2017. Since that actually 2018, my mistake, because those 2 trains, that one and the S-Class, were the 2 first trains in my collection. The barn trailer used to be a completely different train. If you've seen my train adventure episodes, that's exactly what the barn trailer used to be. It was a passenger carriage. I didn't like it at first, so I changed it to a simple barn carriage. So that's the train just transformed into a barn. The coal trailer wasn't around when I filmed Train Adventure, so that one wasn't in the videos at all. Actually, was it in the videos? Put some comments down below if you remember whether that train that was in the Train Adventure episodes. I don't remember. Now, I'm not quite sure whether I should continue Train Adventure. I've got a lot more trains, a lot more Lego, and I could potentially do a lot more better videos than what they were back in 2017. The E2 tank engine, oh, I forgot about when that one was built. That one was built this year as well, 2021. So, yeah, this is my entire Lego train collection. A lot of these trains have gone out to real life, and I've taken them out to different events to show people around the world my Lego trains. Since I love seeing the satisfaction of people looking at my trains, saying how amazing they are. It really does make me feel really amazing about myself. I'm really proud of what I've built, and I hope to continue building even more trains in the future. But for now, the money budget is pretty high, so we're gonna have to save up a lot more money to buy some more Lego to continue train journeys. I think there's about 2 more steam locomotives coming in the collection. The K-Class and the J-Class. I'm not quite sure when they'll be around, but I think we might start building them this year. Since these 2 carriages, actually that one wasn't, this one is the only one that's being built this year. So we've got room for about another 2 more trains this year. But we can definitely build more. Last year we got around to like 6 trains in total. And that was some crazy stuff right there. So, yeah. There's my Lego train special. I'll show you around some of the trains, and we'll check them out one by one. Heavy Harry. Heavy Harry is one of the biggest locomotives ever built in Victorian railways. This locomotive is also one of the biggest trains in my collection as well. Since I don't know if I'm the first one to build a Lego Heavy Harry, I looked on the internet and I did find one more. But I'm not quite sure when that was built. So, I don't know whether I hold the title of building the very first Lego Heavy Harry. Probably not, but it would be cool if I did. Next up, the R-Class locomotive. The R-Class locomotive was one of my favourite steam locomotives in my collection. It was the very first steam locomotive to make it to my train collection. This locomotive was built for passenger trains and high speed. It was built for speed as well. There are many of these trains built, but unfortunately, due to the fact that diesels replaced steam in the olden days, steam locomotives were scrapped a ton. And now there's around 6 R-classes or a little bit more. I'm not quite sure exactly how many are left, but there's not many left at all. And this is one of the very few R-classes that are still in operation today. Puffing Billy. Puffing Billy is one of the biggest trains in my collection, if not is, because it's a 12-stud wide build instead of an 8. So Puffing Billy had a lot of changes. It was originally meant to be an 8-stud wide build, but since I decided to make it bigger, I had to do a lot of changes to get this thing to look right. The boiler had to look small compared to the rest of the body, which is why it had to be so wide. So unfortunately, it's hugely out of scale compared to these trains. In real life, Puffing Billy is a narrow gauge 6A class of steam, and that train still runs today. The only day it doesn't run on is on Christmas. This locomotive runs from Jambrook to Belgrave, and it's about an hour-long train trip. So, this locomotive truly is quite an enjoyable train to ride on, if you ever do want to go on it in real life. The N-Class locomotive. The N-Class locomotive is, I chose to do the very first V-line colour of the trains in Victorian railways. It was the orange and grey colours. This locomotive was probably one of my longest trains in my collection, but now it's these guys that hold the record, not the N-Class locomotive. The N-Class is due for an upgradation with those windows needing to be longer, getting rid of that gap in there, and also lowered down by one skinny to get it to the correct height to the rest of the trains. So, yeah. Also been doing an art book drawing of that locomotive as well. S-Class. The S-Class locomotive is the first train to ever join my Lego train collection. It's been hugely upgraded throughout the past few years, since this locomotive looked terrible when it was first built, so I had to change it hugely to get it as close as possible to the real locomotive. This S-Class locomotive doesn't run on V-line services anymore. It used to, but has retired. And since then, it has been brought by a company and now still runs today on train trips. So if you want to go on a special train trip, then definitely check this one out. The blue passenger carriage. This is the carriage that was carried by the S-Class locomotive. It was also one of the most wonderful trains in my collection, since it was quite a nice shiny and glossy carriage. I really did like how this one turned out. A66. A66 is one of the most famous V-line trains in Victorian railways, since it's known by quite a lot of people. This locomotive is a diesel and it's a bullnose, a double-nose V-line train. This one is probably around the third V-line paint job. There's a fourth one, which is a purple one. I haven't built that one yet. But hey, I thought this paint job was the best for my Lego model. So I chose this one. And the new bulldog window designs really do look nice, since they're nice tilted windows, as well as surrounded with the black. So the black blends in with the smoky black windows to form that nice curve effect. And the bullnose, this one has been upgraded as well. Now it's more of a flush look. And gotten rid of one of the skinnies there to lower that down, so now it's the correct height to the rest of the trains. And this is by far one of my favourite trains in my entire collection. I'm not quite sure which one is my favourite, but to be honest, I don't really want to pick favourites, since I'm going more between the Bulldog and A66. I also really do like how our class looks. Anyways, next up is the V-line carriage. This one has just recently been put in my collection, and this one is the carriage that A66 carries. And it's probably still a carriage that is used today in our V-line services in Victorian railways, so it's quite a famous carriage indeed. The orange carriage is what the N-class locomotive used to carry. This one's basically that carriage, but repainted in orange. Since this was the very first V-line colour, that's what the carriages were painted in back then. The red passenger carriage. The red passenger is one of my first carriage to ever be in my collection. I'm not really going to count them because they're more freight, but this is a passenger carriage. And this was what the R-Class carried. I designed this to be carried by the R-Class locomotive. And this one is an old wooden carriage in real life, and it's quite an enjoyable ride, since in real life you have actually windows that open up. So, we're going on a train trip in about 4 weeks' time, and it's a 4-day train trip, and I'm really hyped about that, because I get to sleep on it, go to different locations, and all that kind of stuff. It's really quite an enjoyable ride, and I can't wait. We've already been on it at least once. Next up is A2986. A2986 is one of my second steam locomotives to join my collection, and this locomotive is very old in real life. It's about 100 years old now, so it was replaced by the R-Class replaced these trains, so because of the R-Class, there's not many of these left at all, and there's only one in operation today, so that's kind of sad. T-Class. The T-Class locomotive is basically the second diesel to join my collection, and I just recently made it in dark blue. The E2 tank engine, well, that one is the train that Thomas is based off. And these carriages, the coal and the barn, are the very first carriages in my collection today. So, there you have it, a full explanation and a little bit on their real life counterparts of the real thing. So that is my full train collection right here. So I hope you guys have all enjoyed this nice special 35 subscriber special. So thank you guys so much for getting me to that number. I really did appreciate it. So I hope you guys will enjoy this video as well. Bye!